Welcome to the F-Bound Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Schroeder, Executive Function Coach. I help neurodivergent women learn tips and strategies to improve the life skills that will help them be successful. The Good Enough Strategy, How Satisficing Can Simplify Your Life and Reduce Stress. Have you ever felt crushed by the endless need to make the perfect choice? You're not alone. Decision-making can be exhausting, especially when every option feels overwhelming. That's where the Good Enough Strategy, also known as Satisficing, comes in. Instead of chasing perfection, Satisficing helps you focus on what's practical, doable, and satisfying without overthinking. It's not about settling, it's about reclaiming your time, energy, and peace of mind. Understanding Satisficing. Every decision you make requires mental energy, whether it's about what to eat for dinner or which career path to pursue. Satisficing is a concept that redefines how we approach these choices, offering a framework to prioritize what truly matters. By focusing on good enough solutions rather than chasing perfection, you free yourself from decision fatigue and unnecessary stress. So where did this idea come from, and how does it stand apart from more traditional decision-making strategies like maximizing? Origins of Satisficing. The concept of satisficing was introduced by Herbert A. Simon, a Nobel laureate with a knack for simplifying the complexity of human behavior. Simon coined the term in 1956, combining satisfy with suffice to describe a decision-making strategy where individuals select the first option that meets their basic criteria rather than exhaustively searching for the best possible choice. He argued that our brains have limited capacity to evaluate every possible option, a limitation he called bounded rationality. Instead of being supercomputers, we work with what we know and make decisions accordingly. Simon's theory of satisficing has become a cornerstone of behavioral economics and psychology. It challenges the idea of humans as purely logical beings who always aim to maximize outcomes. Satisficing versus maximizing. To understand satisficing, it's essential to compare it with its counterpart, maximizing. While satisficing focuses on finding a good enough option that satisfies basic needs, maximizing is about leaving no stone unturned to find the absolute best choice. Sounds exhausting, right? That's because it often is. Here's a breakdown of key differences. Maximizers tend to overanalyze. They seek the best option out there, but this can lead to indecision, regret, or dissatisfaction even after making a choice. Satisficers, on the other hand, are content with finding something that ticks all the necessary boxes. They prioritize speed and practicality over perfection, reducing anxiety and saving time. Imagine shopping for a winter coat. A maximizer might compare dozens of options across several stores, considering price, color, material, and reviews to ensure they're getting the best deal. A satisficer will pick the first coat that's warm, reasonably priced, and looks decent. Both end up with a coat, but the satisficer probably enjoys their winter more because they didn't waste hours hunting for the perfect one. Research has shown that satisficers tend to be happier with their choices because they have realistic expectations. Meanwhile, maximizers often feel less satisfied even if their choice is objectively superior. So where do you fall on the spectrum? Are you someone who needs all the options before making a decision, or do you prefer to move on once your basic needs are met? Benefits of the Good Enough Strategy. Finding a balance between getting things done and doing them well can feel like walking a tightrope. But that's exactly why the Good Enough Strategy, Satisficing, can be a game changer. It's not about settling or lowering your standards. It's about cutting through the noise and stress of endless options to decide what truly matters. Reducing anxiety and overwhelm. Ever feel paralyzed by too many choices? That's decision fatigue. Every time you weigh pros and cons or debate over meaningless details, you're draining mental energy. Satisficing helps step in to save the day. Instead of searching for the absolute best, you focus on what fits your criteria and move on. When you adopt this mindset, you avoid endless second guessing. This is especially important for neurodivergent people who may already feel overwhelmed by sensory overload and task management challenges. Research from the Decision Lab highlights how satisficing reduces cognitive strain while still achieving satisfying outcomes. Think of it as closing mental tabs in your brain's browser. Simpler, cleaner, and far less stressful. Encouraging action over perfectionism. You've probably heard the saying, done is better than perfect. Sounds cliche, but it's so true. The pursuit of perfection can keep you stuck, while satisficing frees you to act. Imagine you're writing an email. A satisficer would focus on clear communication, while a perfectionist might rewrite it 10 times, worrying about every comma. Which approach sounds more productive? By choosing good enough, you allow yourself to take consistent action. These small wins add up, moving you forward in meaningful ways. You're not abandoning high standards, you're just setting realistic ones. Practical applications of the good enough strategy. The good enough strategy isn't just a theory, it's a tool you can use to simplify your life and keep stress at bay. It's about finding that sweet spot where you meet your needs without overcomplicating things. Everyday decision making. Everyday decisions can feel like you're walking through a maze. Do you spend 15 minutes comparing brands of pasta sauce at the store, or do you grab the first jar that looks decent? You know what? That decent jar gets the job done, tastes good on pasta, and saves you time. And you know what? If it sucks, you know not to get that one next time. That's satisficing. Here are some common scenarios where good enough works wonders. Cooking dinner. Instead of trying out a new gourmet recipe with 15 hard-to-find ingredients, why not toss together something simple like pasta with jarred sauce and veggies? It fills your belly and frees up your evening. Buying clothes. You need a jacket. The first one you try on fits, is warm, and looks good. Do you really need to spend hours comparing every coat in the store? Probably not. Social plans. Instead of stressing over which restaurant has the best reviews for dinner with friends, pick one that's close and convenient. The point is spending time together, not micromanaging Yelp scores. Choosing good enough doesn't mean you're neglecting quality. It's about recognizing when extra effort isn't worth the marginal gain. The energy saved can be redirected toward things that truly matter, whether it's quality family time or tackling that personal project. Workplace efficiency. The workplace is where overthinking often rears its ugly head. From endless email drafts to perfection-seeking presentation, striving for perfect can steal time, reduce productivity, and cripple creativity. That's where the good enough strategy can shine. Here's how it plays out at work. Completing tasks. When you're juggling deadlines, aiming for good enough ensures tasks are finished on time. Instead of obsessively refining a report for hours, focus on delivering clear, accurate information. Progress beats perfection in professional settings. Team collaboration. Have you ever sat through a meeting that spiraled into endless debates over minor details? Applying satisficing to group decisions helps keep discussions concise and actionable. You pick a solution that works and move forward as a team. Handling emails. The never-ending inbox can be a beast. Stop rereading every email 3 times before hitting send. Write it, ensure it's professional, and get on with your day. Prioritizing clarity over perfection keeps communication flowing. And the payoff? Increased productivity, fewer mental roadblocks, and more meaningful results. Work smarter, not harder. The next time you're poring over small stuff at work, ask yourself, does this really need to be perfect or just functional? 9 times out of 10, functional will do. Challenges and misconceptions. When it comes to the good enough strategy, many people struggle with common challenges and misconceptions surrounding this mindset. If you've ever felt nervous about settling or worried about missing out on something better, you're not alone. Fear of missing out. FOMO. FOMO, or fear of missing out, is like that voice in your head whispering, what if there's something better out there? This nagging thought can make adapting the good enough strategy tough. The truth is, FOMO can trap you in indecision. You might hesitate to commit to a good enough strategy or good enough option because what if there's something better just around the corner? But here's the thing, chasing the best all the time isn't realistic or healthy. Anxiety, decision fatigue, and even feelings of inadequacy can pile up. So how do you manage FOMO when satisficing? Start by recognizing that perfection is a moving target. It's not real. Instead of comparing yourself to curated online highlights, focus on whether what you've chosen actually works for you. For example, if your dinner outfit looks decent and you feel good in it, does it really matter if someone else is wearing a designer gown? FOMO also thrives on overestimating the value of alternatives. Remind yourself, just because you didn't pick the perfect doesn't mean your choice lacks value. Balancing quality and adequacy. One of the hardest parts of satisficing is deciding when to stop. You don't want to cut corners, but you also don't need everything to be perfect. Striking the right balance between quality and adequacy requires tuning into your priorities and setting clear criteria. Think of it like cooking. You could spend hours perfecting every detail of a new dish, like garnishing plates and adjusting spices to Michelin star standards, or you could focus on making sure the meal is tasty, nutritious, and ready on time. Both approaches can work, but if your goal is to simply feed your family, the good enough option clearly checks all the boxes. This principle applies to bigger decisions too. When choosing a job, buying a car, or setting a career goal, ask yourself, does this meet my key needs? If yes, overanalyzing probably won't improve the outcome much. To ensure you're balancing quality and adequacy effectively, try these tips. Define your must-haves. Be crystal clear about what you need. For example, when apartment hunting, focus on affordability, safety, and location rather than nitpicking over wall colors. Set a timer for decisions. Give yourself a reasonable deadline to decide. This prevents endless overthinking. Practice confidence in past choices. The more comfortable you become with satisficing, the less you'll second-guess yourself. Ultimately, balancing quality with adequacy means respecting your time, energy, and resources. Ready to make good enough actually feel great? Let go of the doubts. Your well-being is worth it. Embracing imperfection. When you give yourself permission to embrace imperfection, something surprising happens. You start living with more ease and authenticity, redefining success on your terms. For too long, success has been measured by impossible, rigid standards. But who decides what's perfect? When you embrace imperfection, you redefine success to match your own values and priorities. You get to ask, does this work for me? Rather than endlessly striving for what works for others. This gives you, as a neurodivergent person, the freedom you need to be yourself. This mindset encourages you to focus on what really matters, whether that's nurturing relationships, building skills, or simply enjoying the moment. Perfection might be polished, but it's also unrelatable. Imperfection, that's where real life happens. Taking the first step. Choose one aspect of your life where good enough feels doable. Maybe it's preparing a quick, healthy dinner instead of a 5-star meal, or sending that work email without agonizing over every word. Over time, these moments add up, creating a ripple effect of freedom and contentment. Choosing good enough isn't about settling. It's about choosing peace, progress, and purpose over relentless striving. What you gain is priceless: time, confidence, and the ability to truly enjoy life. Welcome to the F-Bomb Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Schroeder, Executive Function Coach. I help neurodivergent women learn tips and strategies to improve the life skills that will help them be successful.